America just turned 250 years old. It's celebrated by slapping 50% tariffs on its closest neighbor. Canada fired back, called it economic war, and started building Arctic warships. Two nations that shared a border for centuries are now facing each other across a trade battlefield. The planet saw this coming. The question is, which chart wins? In this video, we compare the USA and Canada across 6 life domains. We examine career, wealth, power, relationships, legacy, and resilience, using the birth charts of both nations. Every claim traces to a real planetary position in their founding charts. At the end, one chart wins. The result is not what anyone expected. The United States of America was born on July 4th, 1776 in Philadelphia. It became the world's largest economy and most powerful military force in history. Today, at 250 years old, it is waging an economic war against its own neighbor. Canada was born on July 1st, 1867 in Ottawa, Ontario. It is one of the wealthiest, most stable nations on Earth. Right now, it is in the fight of its economic life, and its government says it is ready. The USA has a Scorpio ascendant. This is a nation built for intensity, secrecy, and transformation. Its ruling planet sits in the 8th house, the house of crisis, shared resources, and dramatic upheaval. 5 planets cluster in that same 8th house: Sun, Mars, Jupiter, Venus, and Mercury nearby. This is a chart that lives at the edge of collapse and comes back stronger every time. Canada has a Pisces ascendant. This is a nation built for diplomacy, adaptability, and long-term thinking. Its ruling planet sits in the 12th house, which governs foreign connections and hidden strength. Saturn, the planet of structure and discipline, sits at its strongest possible position in the 8th house. This is a chart that builds quietly, endures punishment, and outlasts opponents. The career house? Think of it as a nation's professional report card, the house that shows what it does on the world stage and how others see it. The 10th house is the CEO's office. The 1st house is the face it shows to the world. Here's the question. Does the USA's aggressive, crowded planetary engine outperform Canada's quiet, disciplined institutional machine? Let's find out what both founding charts say about the kind of power each country was born to project. The USA's 10th house, its career and global reputation house, is Leo. The sun rules Leo, and the moon aspects this house directly. That means global attention, leadership, and visibility are baked into America's chart at birth. America does not just participate on the world stage. It insists on being the center of it. In the Deet and Dashamsha, Jupiter occupies the 10th house in Scorpio, deep, strategic, and capable of transformational global power. That placement is why America reshapes entire industries and global institutions when it moves. Canada's 10th house is Sagittarius. Jupiter rules it, but sits in the 12th house, governing foreign connections, behind-the-scenes power, and international institutions. Canada's career is not built on domination. It is built on being the most trusted nation in the room. The sun and moon both aspect the 10th house from the 4th. Canada's domestic strength is the foundation of its international reputation. Right now, with Carney building icebreakers and pivoting to Europe, that foundational reputation is being deployed deliberately. America's ascendant lord is Mars, sitting in the 8th house in Gemini. Mars rules ambition, aggression, and the drive to act. In Gemini, that aggression becomes information warfare, trade battles, and legal maneuvers. Mars here aspects the 11th house of gains. Every aggressive move America makes is ultimately in pursuit of economic dominance. But Mars is in an enemy sign here. That aggression is real, but it is also poorly directed. The tariff war with Canada is a perfect example. Maximum force, questionable aim. Canada's ascendant Lord Jupiter sits in the 12th house, the house of foreign lands, large institutions, and hidden reserves. This is not weakness. This is strategic depth. Jupiter in the 12th means Canada's greatest career assets are its international alliances, its multilateral credibility, and its ability to operate across borders. Mars, Canada's 9th house lord, sits in the 6th house, the house of conflict and competition. In Leo, Mars here is in a friendly sign, energized, and pointed directly at opponents. Canada fights when it chooses to, and it fights well. The wealth houses, think of them as a nation's bank statement and its income flow. The second house shows the treasury, what a country accumulates, owns, and calls its own. The 11th house is the income account, trade surpluses, gains, and networks of partners who keep money flowing in. America's wealth house carries 5 planets. Canada's wealth structure is quieter, but remarkably precise. Which founding chart was genuinely built to hold on to money under pressure? The USA's second house is Sagittarius, the house of national wealth and accumulated assets. Jupiter rules this house and sits in the 8th house, along with the Sun, Mars, and Venus. All 4 of those planets aspect the second house simultaneously. That is an extraordinary concentration of wealth energy pointed at the treasury. America's wealth is not just large, it is constantly being renewed through aggressive financial activity. But Jupiter is weakened by being in an enemy sign in the 8th house. Great wealth potential, but also great vulnerability to financial crises and debt cycles. Canada's second house is Aries. Mars rules it and sits in the 6th house, the house of service, labor, and competition. Canada's wealth is earned through work, resources, and trade. This is a nation whose income depends on what it digs out of the ground and what it builds. Mars in Leo in the 6th house is strong and energized. Canada's resource economy, oil, timber, minerals, grain, is the backbone of its treasury. That structure is under pressure from tariffs right now, but it is fundamentally sound. The USA's 11th house is Virgo, the house of gains, trade networks, and the income that flows in from allies and partners. Saturn sits here, strong in a friendly sign. Saturn in the 11th gives America lasting institutional wealth building capacity. Think the dollar as global reserve currency, the IMF, the World Bank. Mars aspects this house as well, adding competitive drive to the income equation. But Sade Sati is currently active for the USA. Saturn is transiting in a challenging position relative to the Moon. Wealth pressure is real right now, and consumer confidence is falling. Canada's 11th house is Capricorn. Saturn rules it and sits in the 8th house, where it is fully exalted at peak strength. An exalted Saturn in the 8th house ruling the 11th is a rare and powerful wealth signature. It means Canada accumulates through patient management of shared resources, long-term contracts, and institutional discipline. Mercury aspects the 11th house, adding trade intelligence and negotiating precision. Canada's new deals with Europe and China are this placement working in real time, diversifying income when the largest customer turns hostile. The relationships house, the seventh house, shows a nation's partnerships, its allies, its trade deals, its treaties, and the foreign powers it chooses to stand beside. Think of it like a marriage contract written in the stars. The D9 Navamsha chart adds deeper detail. It reveals the character of those partnerships over time, not just at signing. America and Canada have been each other's most important partner for over a century. But right now, that partnership is fracturing. What do their seventh houses say about who broke it and who will survive the break? The USA's seventh house is Taurus. Venus rules it and sits in the eighth house in Gemini. Venus is in a friendly sign there, but it is placed alongside Mars, the planet of aggression and conflict. The Lord of Partnerships sitting next to the planet of war, inside the house of crisis and transformation. This describes America's relationship pattern precisely. It forms powerful alliances, then subjects them to enormous pressure. Trump's 50% tariffs on Canadian goods are Venus-Mars in the eighth house playing out in trade policy. The relationship exists, but it is being weaponized. Canada's seventh house is Virgo. Mercury rules it and sits in the fifth house, the house of strategy, creativity, and diplomatic intelligence. Canada's partnerships are built on smart, carefully negotiated terms. Mercury in the fifth means Canada thinks several moves ahead in its alliances. In the D9 and Navamsha, the seventh house holds Venus in Leo, a placement that gives partnerships visibility and presence on the international stage. Carney's rapid pivots to Europe and China are this chart operating at full capacity. Canada loses one partner and immediately activates three more. The USA's seventh house carries only 19 bindus in the Ashtakavaga, a point score system that measures how much planetary support a house receives. 19 is the lowest score in America's entire chart. The House of Partnerships is the weakest house in the founding chart. This is not a coincidence. America has always been most powerful when acting alone, economically, militarily, culturally. Its alliances are real, but its chart does not prioritize them. The current rupture with Canada is structurally consistent with who America has always been. Canada's seventh house carries 20 bindus, also modest, but the context matters completely. Canada's ninth house carries 35 bindus, the highest score in its chart. The ninth house governs international law, moral authority, and global philosophical standing. Canada's greatest alliance asset is not a single partner. It is its reputation as a fair, rules-based actor on the world stage. That reputation is what makes new partners like Germany and China willing to deal quickly. Where America's alliances are transactional, Canada's are institutional. Every nation faces trials, economic crashes, wars, political crises, moments where the entire structure shakes. The sixth house shows the enemies a nation faces and how it fights them. The eighth house shows transformation through crisis. The moments that nearly break a country and either destroy it or make it stronger. Both the USA and Canada are in a trial right now. The question is, which founding chart was built to absorb this kind of punishment? And which one cracks first? The USA's eighth house in Gemini holds 5 planets: Sun, Mars, Jupiter, Venus, and the Ascendant Lord. This is extraordinary. The house of crises, debt, and national transformation is the most crowded house in America's chart. America is a nation that was literally born in the fire of revolution. It has survived civil war, the Great Depression, 2 world wars, and multiple financial collapses. Every crisis makes it larger and more dominant. But the 8th house also accumulates debt, internal conflict, and systemic vulnerability. Right now, with tariffs damaging domestic consumers and inflation rising, the 8th house energy is turning inward. Canada's 8th house holds Saturn at its peak strength, fully exalted in Libra. Saturn exalted in the 8th house is one of the most resilient placements possible for a nation. It means Canada absorbs institutional shocks through discipline and structural adjustment rather than collapse. Jupiter also aspects the 8th house from the 12th, adding wisdom and long-term perspective to crisis management. Canada's current response to tariffs, launching icebreaker contracts, pivoting trade partners, announcing retaliatory measures with precise September dates, is Saturn in the 8th house operating exactly as the chart promises. The USA is running Rahu Mahadasha, a major planetary period of disruption, unconventional action, and rapid, unpredictable change. Rahu is the planet of ambition without boundaries. It pushes a nation to reach for more than it can hold. The current sub-period belongs to Mercury, which is weakened in America's chart, below its minimum strength threshold and combust, meaning too close to the Sun to function clearly. Mercury governs communication, trade agreements, and negotiations. A weakened Mercury sub-period inside a Rahu major period is exactly the conditions under which a trade negotiation collapses. America's planetary clock explains August 2026 precisely. Canada is running Saturn Mahadasha, Saturn's major planetary period, which lasts until 2040. And Saturn, in Canada's chart, is exalted in the 8th house. This means Canada's dominant planetary season for the next 14 years is ruled by its single strongest planet. Saturn rewards patience, institutional strength, and disciplined long-term strategy. Everything Mark Carney embodies as a former central banker. The Mercury sub-period ends in January 2027, just before the U.S. midterms deliver their verdict. Canada's chart is not just surviving this trial, it is growing stronger inside it. In Jyotish, time is divided into planetary seasons called Mahadashas, major planetary periods, each lasting years and coloring everything a nation experiences during it. Inside each Mahadasha runs a shorter Antardasha, a sub-period that fine-tunes the theme. Think of it like a monsoon season within a decade of drought. Here is what both charts are living through right now. The USA is in Rahu Mahadasha until 2034, with Mercury Antardasha running until February 2027. Rahu pushes for expansion beyond established rules. It is the planet of breaking norms and seizing what others would not dare to reach for. Mercury governs trade, negotiation, and communication, but it is the weakest planet in America's chart right now, falling below its minimum strength threshold. A weakened Mercury running inside an aggressive Rahu season is the planetary signature of a nation that escalates trade conflicts it cannot cleanly resolve. The midterm elections in November 2026 fall squarely inside this troubled sub-period. Canada is in Saturn Mahadasha until 2040, with Mercury Antardasha ending January 2027. Saturn in Canada's chart is exalted at its absolute peak strength. A 19-year Saturn season ruled by the strongest planet in the chart is a generational gift. It rewards institutional discipline, long-range strategy, and the willingness to absorb short-term pain for structural gain. Mercury here, even below minimum strength, governs trade and diplomacy. Fitting for a moment when Canada is negotiating with Europe, China, and the United States simultaneously. Canada's planetary season is built for exactly this kind of sustained, high-stakes economic pressure. Both nations carry extraordinary planetary power in their founding charts. The USA has the most planets concentrated in a single house of any chart we have analyzed. Canada has the most precisely placed single planet, Saturn exalted, right where it counts most. America's chart concentrates raw power in a way Canada's simply cannot match. Military, economic, and cultural dominance are all baked in. Power goes to America. America's 10th house and planetary engine give it unrivaled global presence. No nation commands the world stage the way the USA does. Career goes to America. America built the global financial system, won 2 world wars, and shaped modern democracy. Its legacy is unmatched in scale. Legacy goes to America. Canada's wealth structure is built on patience and resource discipline. America's is larger but vulnerable to debt and crisis cycles. Wealth goes to Canada. Canada's chart was built to absorb punishment and emerge stronger. Saturn, exalted in the crisis house, is the single best resilience placement possible. Resilience goes to Canada. America's partnership house is the weakest in its chart. Canada replaces broken alliances almost immediately. Relationships go to Canada. Both charts carry deep, genuine power. This is not a mismatch. Canada wins wealth and resilience. America wins career, power, and legacy. But in a contest where raw dominance and global reach decide the outcome, one chart has held the world's attention for 250 years and shows no sign of surrendering it. The overall winner on points and on planetary weight is the United States of America, bruised, politically turbulent, and still the most powerful founding chart on the planet. The trade war is just beginning. Canada's planetary season lasts 14 more years, and it grows stronger the longer the pressure holds. America's clock is running hot, a weakened negotiating planet inside an aggressive expansion period, with midterms 10 weeks away. Tell us in the comments which chart you think is more powerful right now. And drop the name of the next 2 nations, companies, or leaders you want us to put head to head on this channel.